In this video, let me take you back to 2012. August 13th, 2012 to be exact. Team Fortress 2, very much bustling and alive. Lots of players, lots of people having fun and enjoying the game, lots of funny little animations being made by the community and by Valve themselves. I mean, everything was a real blast, but we were all waiting for something new, something fresh and invigorating. Little did we know that Valve would release a brand new animation on this very day. One based on a new game mode they were planning on adding to the game. What was it? We didn't know, we had to watch first, and man did the SFM really build the suspense. It opened on a frozen Manco building with a closed sign. Manco was shut down. Heavy was looking over and saw lightning in a snowstorm? What could it be? So he gathers all the mercs from both teams, red and blue, banding together to find out exactly what was going on. Once they get there, there's a weird spaceship. What could it be? What could it mean? And then after a moment of silence, we found out. Man versus... Hey. Yeah? Shut up. Okay. Man vs. Machine, a 6-player co-op game mode where you fight against waves of robots and bosses to defend Manco so you can get a sweet, cool reward at the end. I think it's fair to say that the community was absolutely hyped, and rightfully so, with the class upgrades, unique bosses, the fact we can get a reward outside of a Manco crate for once. I mean, come on, there was no reason not to love it. It was a wave-based co-op shooter with upgrades and bosses. It was basically a raid boss fight from like WoW, but instead of the Warlock casting Shadow Bolt, you get the Warlock a rocket launcher told to have fun. We wanted more, we needed more, we clamored, we asked Valve, give us more, and you know, Valve delivered, because remember, this is the time period in which Valve actually updated the game, and then Valve gave us 2 cities, and it was also just good. It added a whole new upgrade for Medic, we can revive people now, and not to mention they added the fabled Australiums, and everyone wants one of those, right? I mean, except for the Australian Bloodsaga, don't know why that's in the game, but still, we were like, yeah, MVM, this is gonna be so awesome, we got so much more stuff, I can't wait for the next update. And then a decade passed and we still haven't gotten one. I'm pretty sure you read the title already and knew where this is going, but it's fair to say that MVM is in a dire need of something. Like, that decade statement wasn't a bit. 2 cities came out in November of 2013. We are in 2023 in December right now. I actually undershot. We are over a decade at this point. Within the gap of the last update, I went from middle schooler to a college graduate with a worthless degree in that length of time. But before we continue, I should probably clarify, MVM is still a lot of fun. Like, it's still a good game mode. You can go out down, grab your friends, have a grand old time. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't showing its age. So sit back, grab like a small snack, because this video won't be very long. I lied. Again, while you're at it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Or don't, I'm not your mom. And let's get right into it. Starting this show off, let's talk about the tour system, because I don't think it works. Like, maybe at the time it was kind of novel to have like a tour campaign system where you have like 4, 6, or 3 maps all themed around the general themes of the mission itself. But now, all I can think of is just how awfully boring it must be to play the exact same mission sequence every time for an optimal route. And before anyone in the comment section comes down on me for the fact that I only played 2 cities to completion, I'm just letting you know right now, the reason for that is for 1, kill streak kits, and for 2, the fact that it's the only campaign with Manhattan. I think Manhattan has to be the single best map in MVM just due to how unique and different it is. Where in other missions they typically have like a straightforward line from point A to point B that they follow, maybe occasionally splitting off, in Manhattan it's way different. Like, there's still the bomb, they'll go from point A to point B, but if they have the regular bots reach a certain point, they'll open a gate that makes the bots spawn further up the map so you're forced to move your defenses, which is just a novel and amazing idea that I have a lot of fun with. The only issue is it's stuck in 2 cities, and I have no option to play any other campaign if I want to play my favorite map. And here begins the main issue with the tour system, and that is the restriction to maps and missions, which is just stupid. I mean, I guess I get the fact that they wanted to isolate the rewards, but why even do that when you could just make one uniform loot drop table that makes Australians the rarest, bot killers guaranteed but at a certain scaling rarity, and then just the kill streaks can be a chance to show up with also a rarity scaling. Like, it's just make a loot table. Like, why make Australians accessible everywhere, but bot killers and kill streaks are limited to the campaigns? That makes no sense. What you're doing isn't interesting, it's limiting. It needs to be lifted. So my suggestion to fix this whole entire issue is 1, create a uniform loot table like I mentioned, but then to also remove the campaign restriction and instead just have a hard cap of how many missions you have to complete to get the rewards. That way players can play missions that they like, but also still be able to get the same rewards no matter what missions they play. Even Stevens, all things are available and they get to have fun. Wow, look at that, fixed magically with just like 2 changes. However, this is only a smaller solution to a larger problem, and that's just the lack of new maps in general, which I'm sure you guys probably expect me to talk about first. So as the beginning of this video suggested, we have indeed not had new maps since 2013, and that's a long time without new content for one of your largest moneymakers, Valve, I'm just saying. Unless there's more people, you know, buying competitive passes, which would be kind of weird. But still. And I don't want to hear the excuse of they couldn't do it because Valve's not there when we literally have community events for Man vs. Machine that have great maps in them every time. They even have the time to make an award for participating in some of them, which is just, you see them. Add them. It's not hard. You do it every single Christmas and Halloween. Just put it in the game. I'm gonna need some tea for this. Hold on. It just feels like Valve treated this game like that one Christmas gift you requested that you thought you really wanted, and then after a year you just stop using it. Like, why are you just treating it like this? It doesn't deserve this. It's a cool-ass game mode. Yeah, I did the same shit with Manpower and Pastime too. The only difference is this game mode makes you money every day of the week. Why wouldn't you give it something at least every once in a while? That being said, if Valve's listening, all I could really ask for is like a new campaign if you're not going to rework the system. I would much rather have new missions I can play than be stuck to the same old tried and true 6 maps the entire time. Anyways, we have another issue to talk about here, and that's class balance. Now, I get there's a little bit of goofy wackiness with me talking about class balance in a co-op game mode, but it's not a matter of overpowered classes, it's a matter of classes being either unfun to play or unusable, or straight up both, aka Spy. In order to paint the stage of how Spy is such an issue, I need to talk about the other classes first and what they have that makes them stand out, alright? Soldier has Rocket Specialist, more damage at bigger blast radius for rockets, pretty straightforward. Pyro Thanos snaps people with the Gas Passer. Medic gets a Bullet Shield and the ability to transfer his canteen over to the person he's healing as well as himself. And Scout gets a passive ability of every dollar he collects, he gets overheal, so that way it's easier for him to collect more money and do his job. You want to know what Spy gets? The ability to make the radius of the Sapper larger, which doesn't do a justifiable amount of damage to be used, or ignoring armor on a backstab, which is still not enough damage to take out a boss. Now you may be saying, oh, well, those don't sound too bad, they might have edge cases. No, they don't. The slowdown from the Sapper is equivalently a slightly stronger version of the slowdown from the Mad Milk from Scout, the only difference being that the slowdown is all that Sapper really does, while the Scout gives a healing boost to anyone who shoots the enemies that are milked. TLDR, Scout's Mad Milk is better. And that whole backstabbing enemies thing, yeah, you wanna know something funny? Just like in regular TF2 and PvP, if you backstab somebody, typically everyone around you knows that you're there. This goes for the robots as well. You backstab the bot, they turn around, kinda hard to dead ringer out of a situation with 50 soldiers in the same general vicinity. So either Spy gets completely outclassed or has tools that are just essentially worthless and get you more trouble than they're worth. What's even funnier is that even the whole melee thing for Spy doesn't work out because they have upgrades for Demo Knight, which is just better Spy. Even Sniper has a cool upgrade where headshots make an explosion. Like, why doesn't Spy have something that cool? I mean, it seems like to me you just made Spy and you gave a kiss him on the cheek and kick in the pants, and then now he's useless. There's no missions for him. And on the subject of boring and unfun, Scout is definitely in that category. Because while Scout may have the overheal effect of collecting money, so he's better at collecting money, that's really all he's good for. I mean, the Mad Milk slows down the Scouts, and the Fan of War makes it easier to take out bosses, but he's generally unfun to play against because those are the only two tools you can really use feasibly in the middle of a fight. Like, Scout's primary is so worthless, he's basically just a dedicated cash register. Cha-ching! Wow! $100! Thanks, Scout! Oh, you missed 10 bucks out of the game for you! So let me propose a cool kind of upgrade that still complements the whole money collecting thing while giving the primary a reason to be used. Make an upgrade to where every dollar that the Scout collects progressively ramps up his damage so his scatter gun does great single target damage. Maybe give the upgrade name like something kind of wacky and goofy that fits the Scout, like, I don't know, Money Shot. There it is. And there you go, now the Scout has good single target damage and still gets the ability to go around and collect money and gets a reward for doing so. You have now complemented his design, congratulations, here's more money for my MVM tickets. So basically, long story short, just go around and rebalance the classes a little bit, give Demoman a little bit of something. I mean, his primary doesn't really have a special upgrade. And I'm pretty sure if we did this, we'd solve another issue I'm going to talk about right now. That's right, guys, it's the moment you've all been waiting for! The player base behind Man vs. Machine, or at least select few of them. Yeah, this was probably expected. While most of the player base, I could say from my experience of playing Man vs. Machine during these recording periods, have been very great and just kind of goofy, wacky fun, and we all just had a grand old time, evident by some of the clips behind me right here. I still had the misfortune of running into the players that treat Man vs. Machine like a fucking spreadsheet. Future me, censor out that F word for the sake of monetization in the future. Look guys, I get it. Optimizing a game is a lot of fun and min-maxing your upgrades to do maximum damage and power is a real cool trip, but don't force it down the throat of every single player in the lobby. It makes the game unfun and unplayable to a large degree. On top of this, you have no idea if one of those players are new to Man vs. Machine and just haven't heard the upgrades before, and some of the people that are out there that do this min-maxing are just overly hostile and just clap back at people for not knowing that Scout does resistances. Like, stop it, you're hurting the game. There's a reason the stereotype exists that Man vs. Machine's player base is hostile, and it's because there's people out there who genuinely throw massive tantrums over the fact that there's 2 pyros on the team. And I mean, I don't want to be like overly negative or like constantly clap back at you guys, but like how long are we going to keep this behavior up before you realize it actively hurts the game mode and will make it hard for you to find a team in the future? I mean, Man vs. Machine isn't really that hard. We had a game at one point where Scout missed a lot of money and we still came out with a W at the end. Sure, it was a little harder, but hey, that difficulty added a whole level of intensity that made the match even better than it was when I was min-maxing it. So instead of outright leaving as soon as things look a little bit rough, why don't we just ride a match out and see how it goes? I think you'll find that it's quite a lot of fun doing so. Or maybe you won't, and that's okay. Everyone has their own opinions. Listen, I know it sounds like I hate Man vs. Machine at this point because I've sat here and complained for the past 10 minutes, but I gotta say, I love Man vs. Machine. These complaints don't come from a hatred, they come from passion and love for the game mode. I have plenty of fond memories of my first time playing Man vs. Machine when it launched, playing 2 cities when it launched too, and it hurts to see Man vs. Machine treated this way. It deserves more respect from Valve, more love, same with Team Fortress 2 in general, and while the community is carrying all the weight, Valve has to step in and do something once in a while, and right now it's Man vs. Machine's lack of updates since its first inception. Like, don't get me wrong, the community update stuff is fantastic. I mean, I talked about in great length in the last video that I think it'll keep the game alive for a very long time, but they can't just neglect Man vs. Machine like this, or rather, they can, but they shouldn't. As a matter of fact, I think the devs should work on Man vs. Machine, because if playing it revitalized this level of love in me for TF2, then I think it'll revitalize theirs too. So Valve, please clear off the rust from Man vs. Machine. It's a beautiful game mode that has a lot of potential, and we just need your help to realize that. So if you got the time and energy, maybe just consider giving it a look. 1 campaign's all I ask. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this video ended up being a lot longer than the initial statement said. I mean, it's hell, like, what, 12 minutes? 13 minutes now? Shoot, this is probably the longest video I've ever released. That being said, a lot of backbone was put into this video, and I wouldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you so much for your love and support. This has been The Bottom Goaler. Protect Manco.